This is the way my brain works. She knows about it. I go around. I just jump from one thing to another.
I'm able to keep up with it. I'm trained. I got this.
Maybe they'll get it eventually too.
Side squirrel.
Yeah, exactly. A squirrel.
Right.
Well, Kurt, when he was a teenager, he was like 13 or 14. Him and his buddies used to hang out over at this one girl's house, and they used to steal liquor from her dad. Now, the way that they stole it, she had mental problems. She had like Down syndrome or something like that.
Oh,
and the way they would steal the alcohol was, this is fucked up. Anybody that gets triggered easily, you might want to shut this shit off. There's a lot of other nice podcasts out there. Last Podcast on the Left seems like a good one. You can go check that out. But here, we're going to get a little bit grody and shit like that, you know. Generation Y, that's a really good podcast, too. You can check that one out if you don't like this one. But, yeah, it's going to get a little, intense right about now. So Kurt would basically trick this girl into having sex with him.
Oh, my.
So that they would steal the liquor from downstairs. Well, not having sex with him, because they never had sex. He would make out with her, and the one time it went so far as to they were both naked. He almost raped her.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yikes.
So it wasn't like they actually did it, but he was almost forcing himself on her until they had told him, gave him the signal that they'd stolen the liquor or whatever, and then they just bolted out of the house.
Yeah, that is pretty horrible.
And then those same friends turned around at him at school and made fun of him for it.
Oh my gosh.
So he had a lot of fucked up things. I can relate to that because I used to get picked on like a motherfucker. I didn't used to rape retards, but I used to.
Oh my god. Whoa. Did not see that one coming.
Hey. Last Podcast on the Left is a good podcast. So is Generation Y. So if you don't like this shit, you can fuck off. There's plenty of other ones out there. But I digress.
Do you?
Now, he didn't fuck any more retards for the rest of his life.
Oh my god. Sorry, I can't even.
Okay. Alright, so with that. Alright, so Kurt Cobain, he had a lot of ups and downs in his life. He was a very inspirational guy. When you sit back and you look at all the facts, you know, the fact that Dylan had bought him a shotgun a couple days before. He wanted it for security, but with Kurt Cobain's background, they wouldn't sell him a shotgun, so he had Dylan buy it for him. Courtney telling Tom Grant exactly where the shotgun was supposed to be hidden so that he would find it or find out it wasn't there. So that was another thing too. She had told Tom Grant where it was, and it wasn't quick, there.
Let's touch base. Do you know what Courtney's motives may have been? Because I know a lot of people do suspect that it was her, but I'm not entirely sure on what her motives would be.
Kurt wanted a divorce.
Oh, I did not know that.
It was very public that Kurt wanted a divorce. He wanted a divorce because of just all the fighting and the way she treated Francis. And it was, I mean, they were both, I'm going to come out and say it, they were both terrible parents at the time. I mean, Courtney Love had admitted to doing heroin while she was pregnant with Francis Bean. And they had gotten Francis taken away for a short period of time when Francis wasn't even one yet, I don't think. But her motives for killing him, if he left her and they got divorced, the rights to Nirvana would be completely gone. She was always jealous of Kurt because she was in a band called Hole. I don't know if you've ever heard of them before. They had one kind of hit, Doll Parts, I think it was called. They had one kind of hit in the mid-90s, and it was only because of Kurt Cobain dying that it kind of became a hit. She was kind of riding his coattail the whole time. She wouldn't be able to make any money. So basically it was money that motivated her. Other than that, she didn't want to be the person that... We know people that can't be broken up with. They need to be the person to break up with the person, so they gotta that she was that type of person where she had to break up with him before he broke up with her.
Sounds like my ex-husband.
Yeah. Sounds like my ex-wife.
We're getting a divorce? Okay, I'm going to go get the lawyer right now. We're going to get this done. Right now, I am breaking up with you before you can break up with me.
Yes.
No.
Sounds like a very womanly thing to do.
No, that was my ex-husband. So yes, it was a very womanly thing to do.
All right. This is going to be all over the internet.
Yep, damn straight. I'm okay with that. I won't name names, though.
Yeah. But yeah, so Kurt Cobain, what were we doing? What were we saying?
His, Courtney's motives, just...
Oh, her motives. Well, she had a motive to do it. She isn't the only one that had a motive, though, when I sit down and think about it. Like, I've thought about it for years. He wanted to retire also, and that means that the record label would have lost money, would have lost the majority of their money, because that was their big hitter, was Nirvana.
Right, and I mean, like, he was just getting tired of this shit. He wanted to be done. He wasn't having fun anymore. You know, going on stage wasn't so fun and exciting anymore. I mean, he was grateful for the money, but it just, at the end of the day, he just felt like it was just a 9-to-5 regular bullshit job, and it was just exhausting him.
Right. No, I completely agree with you. There was plenty of motive for people to kill him. There is one guy out there, if you've ever watched the Kurt and Courtney documentary, it's a very interesting documentary, but it is completely biased. It is completely to the point of it was murder. So it's not really, if you want an unbiased opinion, that's not the movie to watch. Montage of Heck is closer, which Montage of Heck was a mixtape that Kurt Cobain had made back in the day. That's where that name came from. But Montage of Heck is a movie that was made in 2016, I do believe. And it's like halfway animated, and actually it's really cool. They animate that scene out with him fingering the special person.
Oh my god. Of course.
But yeah, I digress.
Do you?
But yeah, I mean, there's plenty of motive to kill him, but it doesn't mean that he was murdered.
Right,
but
no, we should really look at the other side of the fence of why... At this point, I guess I'd understand if he were to take his own life. I know that you could be pretty miserable with his bipolar disorder and then having rehab fail so much, and I guess I could understand why he would do it, although the method is still questionable for me. So, I mean, I don't want to be biased on the subject, but the method itself of how he had taken his life, that's the only thing that throws me off, personally.
So, there is plenty of evidence that it could have been suicide also. He obviously tried to commit suicide when he was in Rome. A lot of people think that Courtney had somehow made Kurt swallow 20 pills. I don't believe that for a fucking second. You can't make somebody swallow 20 fucking pills.
Right, and you have to know what you're doing at that point to swallow that many. I already gagged on like one giant amoxicillin, so I can only imagine what a mouthful of pills, even 20, would be like. I couldn't imagine 40 fucking pills.
Right. You know, it all depends on the size of the pill, but still at that point it could be microscopic fucking Flexerols, and you still got like a fucking giant jawbreaker of fucking medicine in your hand.
I feel like you'd have to chew it in order to choke that shit down.
Yeah, exactly. Soften it up. But yeah, so I mean, he did try to do that. His music, that was another reason that a lot of people believe that he killed himself. His music was...
It was depressing as fuck.
One of his songs was I Hate Myself and I Want to Die. So...
Quite literally.
That was pretty literal. I used to be completely for the whole Kurt got murdered and everything like that. I'm kind of on the fence with it still, but let's go through all the evidence of suicide. He's been depressed ever since his parents split up, and then he saw his mom get beat back when he was a teenager and stuff like that, and that really messed him up. So, and then him at school being treated the way he was treated.
Well, he was doing shit to be treated that way, to be
fair. Yeah, that's true.
So, I mean, that's totally karma in high school, I mean, or middle school, whatever the fuck age you are. If you are fucking around with somebody that's got a disability, I don't care what kind of karma, it's gonna come back and bite you in the ass.
Hey, that's called getting down with the downs.
Oh my god. We are going to hell. In a handbasket.
Like I said, last podcast on the left is a good podcast. Generation Y is a really good podcast. I heard that they got a lot of listeners. You can go check them out. But yeah, his music, he sounded depressed. He was really... I mean, there's a lot of evidence pointing towards it being suicide. I was listening to... not last podcast on the left. I was listening to Generation Y podcast today on Kurt Cobain just to get some finishing touches on this episode. I was trying to gather it from other places. I don't want to be lazy and just get it all from Wikipedia because a lot of people do that and they see it as lazy fucking research, which, in my opinion, it is. So I try and get it from all kinds of different places, and that was one of them. And they had brought up a very good point about the gun being on his chest, and a reason why the gun was like up and down on his chest.
Right, and a reminder, it is a shotgun, not a handgun.
Yeah, exactly, and it was like vertical, and he was like holding it. Now, what happens when you shoot yourself in the head is you fucking die. No, other than that...
Simple, sweet, and straight to the point here.
No, what happens is it's something convulsions. I forgot what... It's something convulsions where you end up... It's almost like rigor mortis for a second, and you just tense up, and he would have squeezed the gun barrel, because they said if he would have shot himself underneath the chin like they said he did, it would have spun the gun all the way around. Now, if he was holding it, like you could imagine, and it was a little bit top-heavy, he hits the trigger, and as soon as he hits the trigger and he shoots himself in the face, grips the barrel like a motherfucker, and then he falls to the ground. So it's very plausible that that's still plausible, that's the way he died, was that he shot himself. Now, I'm not taking that as complete fact or truth.
Remind me to erase my Google search history later on, because if people ever go through my phone, there may be a questionable things looked up on there.
My browsing history is fucked. I probably got the CIA, FBI, hello wiretap. I got everybody on my ass with how much shit I look up that's just so random every day.
Sorry, off topic.
No, it's okay. I think we pretty much covered everything that supports it being a suicide. I mean, I think me and her are gonna decide exactly where we stand on this, and I'm gonna let Kim go first.
Okay, well, ladies first, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's too fishy to be a suicide itself. Like I said, the guy coming to install the security systems, just waltzing right into the house and knowing where to find the suicide note. That's just too fishy for me. So I feel like it wasn't actually a suicide. I feel like the police were too fast on cleaning up the scene and just kind of wanted to sweep it underneath the rug. Okay, this is just what it's going to be. We're going to go home and eat steak for dinner tonight. They didn't want to look into it further. I feel like the investigating could have been a little bit more thorough. Although I don't know exactly who would have done it. There's plenty of people that, easily could have. I just feel like there's a lot more to the story that Courtney Love is not willing to admit to. So that's kind of just where I stand on this. What about you?
Well, I pretty much stand in the same spot that I was before. I mean, I had a few doubts go through my brain that it might be suicide, but it just seems too convenient for Courtney Love for that to be suicide. Like I said in the Kurt and Courtney documentary, they interview a guy from another metal band that had gotten an offer supposedly from Courtney Love for $40,000 to kill Kurt Cobain. Now, this is coming from a drug addict fucking metalhead that nothing against metal people. I listen to plenty of fucking metal.
And nothing against drug addicts either, because, they aren't always terrible people.
No, exactly. But, truth be told, the trustworthiness isn't there most of the time. So, he had plenty of reason to lie just because he was on TV. Right. And he wanted to lie. So,